A new episode there dropped yesterday. Bill and Poundcake will also be your hosts for the week in Cox. Looking ahead to Sunday morning, every Sunday morning, 8 to 10. It's 2 hours of the best stuff from the week, and they will be your hosts. I will be downtown shortly after that for the final Cox Out pregame at the Ivy. That gets going around 10:30. We'll have a $500 gift card to give away for the end of the regular season. You're going to want to make sure that you commit the word quarter bagel to memory for those purposes. Cavaliers are off tonight. They will play tomorrow night. Late game. They're in Portland, West Coast, so it's a 10 o'clock tip-off. 9:30 on MMS is when the coverage will begin. And then Sunday, they'll head down the road and play the Golden State Warriors out there. So that's 8:30 on Sunday night. I don't know when they get back home. And then tomorrow, of course, will be the inaugural Bill Squire Friday Get Down of 2022. I don't want to pull the curtain back too far, but I know Bill was rehearsing it earlier today.
Doing my kegels, make sure I'm ready to go.
He was squeezing and he was preparing himself.
Deep in my body.
I know it does. From the bowels of wherever. He was doing his calisthenics. He was really preparing himself for tomorrow. That around here, we have no need of clocks or any other traditional timepieces on a Friday because who needs a timepiece? Would you knock it off with the goddamn teeth? She makes this Fire Marshal Bill face that I don't know if that was coincidental or if you were trying to throw me off.
You're not a professional.
Do you know what this is? She wouldn't do that pre-Invisalign. She wouldn't be doing
I would
that.
Never be showing off my teeth.
Oh man, now you got
Straight
Gary
AF.
Busey choppers. Yeah,
No,
like
he's
Mr.
got big horse teeth.
You look like Mr. Joshua now.
I have big horse teeth.
Congratulations. No, but they're straight.
They are very straight.
Yeah.
And we have the official before and afters coming in about 2 weeks, a little less than 2 weeks.
Right. Some people, you see the before and after, and you go, "Oh, they got taken." There's not that much of a difference.
Mine
With you,
is
you're going to see a
ridiculous.
distinct
Yeah.
before and a distinct after.
You know what's so funny? My sisters and I were talking. We were going through like old pictures or something, or like a time hop came up or something like that. My face looks completely different because all my teeth were so smashed together before that my smile was a lot smaller.
Oh, really?
And I wouldn't smile as much, but my smile, when I did smile, it looks so much bigger now because everything's spaced out how it's supposed to
Wow.
be. Yeah, like my face looks different.
Love that Joker.
Mm-hmm. Why so serious?
Yeah.
The 89 Joker, not the...
Oh, who's afraid of a big black bat? Oh, that's the Riddler.
That is
Dang it.
the Riddler. Yes.
89 Joker was Nicholas.
Jack Nicklaus the golfer was the Joker. Is swing and a miss, if you will.
But I don't know what he said.
He said,
ever dance
and where is the Batman?
Washing his tights.
He's at home washing his tights.
Okay, there we go.
Dance with the Devil in the Pale Moonlight.
Yeah.
I have not.
Never rub another man's rhubarb is another classic line there. And of course, who was supposed to be the Joker in the Tim Burton Batman, who turned it down, and it went to Jack Nicholson.
Brad Pitt, right after he turned on the role of Neil.
We just talked about this, and I'm hoping somebody will remember because I don't.
Oh, really?
But I remember that we talked about it.
I can't remember.
Tim Burton wanted who for the original Joker? Someone will tell me.
Where does he get these wonderful toys?
Kevin Nealon.
Not Pacino. He wanted...
What year was this?
89 is when it came out.
Patrick
so they probably
Swayze.
No,
Who
no
was thinking
Swayze, no
89?
Wazy. Was
Nobody
his,
puts Joker in the corner.
He wanted... who's Magnum P.I.?
Tom Selleck.
Tom Selleck.
No, it turns out he did want Jack Nicklaus, the golfer. No, because
I don't know
Jack
the name.
Nicholson, I think, had a bad audition.
The guy from Chips.
Or Eric Estrada.
Eric Estrada.
His first choice was... Lithgow.
Oh,
Really?
He wanted
that would
John
be
Lithgow.
good.
Yeah.
That would be really good.
Yeah. And this would have been post...
I thought it was, I think the one we talked about, though, was Robin Williams.
No, we talked about Lithgow.
Oh, really?
I think Robin Williams was probably in the mix somewhere there.
Robin Williams is a genie.
Oh, Robin Williams wanted to be.
He wanted to be the Joker.
Not the Joker.
But Lithgow was fresh off Harry and the Hendersons. And he tried to tell Tim Burton, I'm not right for this part. And Burton was like, I really want you to be the Joker. And he said, I heard about a week later, he thinks that he did not have a good audition, and he thinks that was probably on purpose in his brain. He was like, this is not going to be right for me. Is that they had been talking to Jack Nicholson, and Robin Williams was driving pretty hard to the hoop, too. But, I mean, think about it. Much in the same way that Santa Claus is Coming to Town made Bruce Springsteen.
Right.
So the Batman Joker, I mean, you never heard of Jack Nicholson before.
Put him on the map.
Before Batman in that movie. He hadn't really done anything before.
I heard that One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was actually his full audition to play the Joker. They were
Really?
like, nailed it.
All right.
Just a passion project.
I mean, Lithgow would go on, of course, to be the bad guy with the really weird accent and Cliffhanger. He was also in this split personality movie called Raising Cain. Do you remember that movie?
About
Raising
chicken
I
tenders?
saw that one.
Yeah. He's a child psychologist, and he finds out his wife's having an affair. I remember it was on the shelves at my Blockbuster video. Raising Cain. And he splits his personality because he finds out his wife is stepping out on him.
Wild.
Yep. And that's all it took. And then he became Cain something. He was Roger Ailes in whatchamacallit, in Bombshell, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a bad guy in Dexter.
Such a creepy movie.
He's a good bad guy. He was a bad guy in this great
He's a good
Travolta
psychopath.
movie called Blowout. Huh?
He's a good psychopath.
He's a great actor because he
Yeah.
can
Plays a
also
lot of
be really
them.
silly and funny, like on 30 Rock.
Or-
Not 30 Rock, Third Rock from the Sun.
Or Daddy's Home 2.
Daddies, and who could forget that one?
So
Where
he plays-
Mel Gibson is the other dad?
Yeah, he plays Will Ferrell's daddy, kisses him on the lips.
Oh, God. But he grew up in
I
Lakewood.
didn't see that one.
Yeah.
He did? He's a Lakewood guy?
Yeah. Well, he as a teenager, he lived in Akron. He lived in that Hewitt Hall you guys were talking about.
Stan Hewitt Hall.
That's where
Yeah.
you can get married.
He lived there, and then
He lived in Stan Hewitt Hall?
Yeah.
Was it a few
I
foster
don't
care
know
or
if that's the
something?
same. Stan Hewitt, like the,
I'm reading
the
it. He spent his teenage years in Akron, living at Stan Hewitt Hall and Lakewood, Ohio.
But what I'm
He
saying,
spent his childhood years in Yellow Springs,
That-
where Martin Luther King's wife was his babysitter.
Weird.
Coretta Scott King was John Lithgow's babysitter in Yellow Springs. Wow. Go ahead, Pumpkin.
what I'm saying about Stan Hewitt Hall, I think there's the mansion, and they had a lot of money to build that house. So I think they may have named like a dorm after Stan Hewitt. Like I don't know if he. Cause
I mean,
don't know
the link goes to Stan Hewitt Hall and Gardens, so I don't know if they had people living. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. You guys told
Well, I'm
me.
just saying, I don't. As far as I know,
Yeah, I don't know that
they had people living there.
But I guess that he's an older dude, so maybe there were still people living there, but that's crazy.
because like it didn't. It's not
It's
like
like
it had
a museum for the past 30 years at least.
Yeah, and I'm saying, and I don't think that the rooms are equipped with like, especially back then, with like kitchens and stuff.
They didn't need it. It was peanut bucket.
But it's away from everything. Like, have you ever been there, Mary?
As a young
No.
man, John Lithgow often peed in a bucket.
A platoon.
A what?
Platoon.
Are you thinking of the movie with Charlie Sheen and Tom Berenger?
Spittoon.
Hey, she got it.
A spittoon for P.
Yeah.
A pitoon.
Yeah. I got a lot of wiener spit. Where do I put this?
That's the sound it makes.
Uh-huh. War is Hell, Platoon, Corey Glover, Charlie Sheen, Tom Berenger, Willem Dafoe in the role of his career. They were out
Platoon.
there in the Vietnam jungle, fighting off the VC and Charlie. And there we were, deep, deep in the brush. And there wasn't a platoon in sight. We had to pee right there we were in country. and there were no platoons anywhere around.
All right. I get it. I'm an idiot.
We were just whizzing all over Vietnam.
Nowhere to pee.
Nowhere to pee, nowhere to be.
Nowhere
we just
to hide.
Sat there all day long,
Platoon.
waiting to run into somebody. Terrified for our lives. We were just young kids, thousands of miles away from home, hoping that the enemy wouldn't pick up the sounds
Or the scent.
or the scent of our emissions into the platoon. When they said fall in, you wanted to make sure that you didn't actually fall in.
Was it Agent Orange from Vietnam?
Mm-hmm.
Made your pee smell like asparagus.
My father died from Agent Orange, but before that, his pee smelled like asparagus for reasons that we were never able to figure out. You'd think that it would smell like oranges, but nope, smelled like asparagus, asparagus. Well, there's nothing on the Hewitt Hall Wikipedia page that implies people were living there. So maybe, some people will go on someone's Wikipedia page and mess with them and go, this guy's gay. Somebody messed with John Lithgow by saying, let's start a rumor that he lived at Hewitt Hall.
Well, I can believe that there was probably a hall named after Stan Hewitt. And,
who was Stan Hewitt?
I don't know.
No idea.
He was Andrew Carnegie's house.
But I'm saying,
Well,
and the fact that they named it Stan Hewitt, I'm just saying.
The guy who
Stan
co-founded Goodyear Tire lived there.
Yeah, that's who built the house.
I thought it was, maybe I'm thinking of something else.
F.A. Sieberling, who was the co-founder of Goodyear Tire, and his wife lived there.
Yeah, I mean.
They named their estate Stan Hewitt, loosely translated from the Old English meaning stone quarry. So it's not, a guy's name. Right.
So that's what I'm saying. I think they named it that, and then you could have like a Stan Hewitt Hall, dorm, or Stan Hewitt Auditorium or something like that in honor of that, because I'm sure they probably spent a lot of money in the Akron area. But I just don't remember people living there. And if he did, good on him, because that's a really cool place to live. I've never been in a house where I could get lost, and that is one house where you can get lost, which is weird.
He's the preacher in Footloose, too, right?
Stan Hewitt?
Okay, so
Lithgow.
He probably lived in. There's probably other quarters on the property because his dad was the estate's first executive director.
Interesting.
So I think that there was probably.
They probably have like a security.
They probably have like another house
which
on there.
I mean, they do.
Yeah.
When you check in to buy your ticket, before I got kicked out, that's where we stopped in to get our tickets. And yeah, haven't been back since.
Why are you so indignant about it?
I just didn't feel that was right. It was raining. What were we supposed to do?
Lithgow lived at the gatehouse. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the gate. So that makes sense. It's right there.
Yeah.
Right in front.
And of course, I mentioned Willem Dafoe from Platoon, and of course that launched into a lot of things. But a fun fact as well: his kids were in a band called Belle Biv Dafoe. So, they didn't.
No, they weren't.
That's worse than Platoon.
That is worse than Platoon. At least yours involved pee.
Mine was on accident. You did that on purpose.
I just read a text. I can't even take credit for it. Credit in air quotes. Lithgow was in an early 90s Denzel movie called Ricochet. That's a underrated movie. That's a fun movie. Lithgow and Denzel. He's like a...
He plays Rick O'Shea.
No. But there were a lot of guys on the radio in the 80s named Rick O'Shea.
No, for real?
Oh, yes,
Oh, God.
absolutely. 80s were a very pun-heavy time for radio names.
Yeah.
Especially like traffic reporters. Mm-hmm. I worked at radio stations where the traffic reporter was like, well, in Chicago, they were all named after like the expressways. Like, I'm Dan Ryan, dumb crap like that.
Yeah.
But here in Cleveland, they had a girl who called herself Hollycopter. For people who
For
were...
real?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
That was a long time ago, though,
Yeah.
I think. I think she's on around Fox 8.
Yeah.
And her name was Hollycopter, But that was the kind of stuff they did. There were a lot of guys named Rick O'Shea. Oh, God. Yeah. Hey, I'm Rick O'Shea. What's going on? Well, I mean, it was
Yeah,
that
no, I
time,
know.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then the 90s came and everybody was too hip for the room, so everybody starts giving themselves one-word air names, which is equally dumb.
Fred.
Shark. Like trying to be hip names and,
Spurt.
Yeah, I'm Lurch. Yeah, okay, cool, Lurch.
You're rocking with Spurt.
Hey, everybody! Don't trip over my platoon. Lithgow was in World According to Garp. Wasn't he the transvestite in Gorp 100
never
years
saw
ago?
that.
Yeah.
I know nothing about the world of GARP.
Educate yourself.
I don't know
Bill.
what you thought about
Do
it.
your
I
own
don't
research.
know. Yeah, do your own research on GARP.
What are you doing?
But that was early Robin Williams. That's where those two intersected. Either one of them could have been the Joker in Batman. But anyway, I also thank you to Zach, who hit me up on Twitter and told me that River Dave is back in the news. Remember River Dave?
Oh, yeah. He was
This was the guy
Wife
who
Hermit,
left
right?
him or whatever?
he was a hermit who had been living in some shack on the river in Concord, New Hampshire. He'd been out there by himself. He's a married guy, which I assume is why he was living by himself in a cabin on the river. A former hermit in New Hampshire who found his cabin burned down. He'd been on the property for 3 decades, but then they ordered him to leave because people owned that land. And they've charged him again with trespassing there.
Because he went back.
He went back. He turned a shed that didn't burn into a home. This guy is real. You've got to love his commitment. This is a guy who goes, I want to live in a shack on the river.
Why not just let him? Might
Yeah,
not
what's
bother
the big
anything.
deal?
Just let the guy shack up in your shack.
There's been an outpouring of local support for the guy, David Lidstone. He's 81.
Yeah, he's going to die soon.
He's called River Dave, and he had been accused of squatting on the property that's owned by a guy from out of state. It's not even a local guy who owns.
That's why.
And they raised about $200,000 in donations to help him start his new life. That's not for him.
He don't want money. He wants living.
Yep. But at the time, because we played the video of him at the time, and he goes, I don't think I'm going to go back to being a hermit. This guy wants to be a hermit.
Well, he sounded like he was not resentful, remorseful, where he was like, I haven't talked to my kids, and nobody wants to answer the phone, and I got to repair these relationships.
I'll tell you exactly what happened. At 81 years old, this guy goes, I don't want to repair these relationships.
This is too hard.
Yeah, his kids tell him he sucks.
Yeah.
The wife is like, what, now you want to come? He's like,
Right.
screw it. I'm going to go back and live in a shed
I quit.
on the river. I'm 81. I got nothing to lose, he says. Sometimes you have to stand up for what is right. I mean, this is a fun little story, but you are living on someone else's property.
He got $200,000. Why doesn't he buy his own property?
Because he wants to live in a shed.
I think that was the point of it.
Yeah.
I don't know where that money went.
I mean,
I'll tell you where.
You might not get some.
Ding, 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 ding. Cherry, cherry, cherry.
The casino?
Mm-hmm.
This guy wants to live in a shack with a wood stove on the river, but he's going to the casino.
Where else did the $200,000 go? He's still dirty and old.
I guess he didn't know how to. He didn't know how to access the $200,000.
Oh, maybe it's still somewhere sitting in a bank.
The guy who owns the property is 86 years old. So maybe River...
These youngins
wait it
trying to
out.
squat on my property.
Wait it out.
Get out of here, you goddamn hippies!
Stay off my lawn.
Maybe River Dave is just trying to wait until, I'll call him Land Leonard, just dies.
Yeah, dude.
Both sides agreed back in the summer for River Dave to collect his cats and chickens and his remaining possessions. But I guess it all didn't work out. And of course, they said the fire was caused by accident. But, whatever. So, all the people who go up and down this river know Dave, like the local kayakers. They're like, oh, Dave's great. He loves to be in nature. Mm-hmm. Blah, blah, blah. But he got arrested again. River Dave. Just leave him alone. I would be worried that some ne'er-do-well was going to come by and, burn me while I was sleeping or something.
Why would they do that?
Because you hear stories about, homeless people getting stabbed while they sleep because some mentally, some mental patient is walking around, sees a sleeping bag with a person and goes, I'll just stab that person.
I was looking to stab tonight.
I was looking to stab. My stabbing skills needed some sharpening.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I hope they figured it out because River Dave should be able to live on a river. That's his name, for crying out loud.
Yeah, people think that they just call him this because he lives on the river. That's his name.
Yeah,
His
Rocky
name's
River.
River Dave is his name.
His full name is Rockford River.
You will call me by my given Christian name, Rockford River, Esquire. Before I was a hermit, how long do you have to live by yourself in the middle of nowhere? What's the minimum to establish
Hermacy?
hermitage?
Oh,
If
10
that's
years.
the proper 10 years.
Hermacy? I like Hermacy.
White hermacy.
10 years, right?
10 years.
Anything less than that's a vacation.
So if you were living by yourself in a shed on the river for only 4 years, that's still a vacation?
I don't think that's long enough for things to have changed for you to be so out of touch. I think being a hermit means like you don't even know what the world is.
Well, no, he knows what's going on. There's people up and down the river all the time talking to him, and he's aware of modern conveniences.
If you put an iPhone in his hand, he would have no idea what to do.
He knows what to do. He knows what things are. He just eschews them. He just says, I want nothing to do with that. He's removed
30
himself
years.
from...
The internet. He hasn't seen the internet.
Well,
Think about that.
There's nothing in this that says he never leaves the banks
That's
of the
what
river.
a hermit is.
No, a hermit is someone who lives by themselves.
And doesn't leave. Doesn't go out.
A hermit is a person living in solitude. That's all it is.
So I'm a hermit,
Yes, you
'cause I
are a
live
hermit.
alone.
Yes.
I was much more of a hermit when I was in the ground.
You have a cat.
I do have a cat.
Of course, this guy had cats and chickens too.
Yeah.
Another word for a hermit is an eremite. Now, this says it's defined as a person who lives in seclusion as a religious discipline,
An eremite.
I guess.
I think a hermit is like, I live on my own. I don't talk to anybody. I don't go anywhere. I stay in my shack. I feed my chickens.
Now, a female hermit is called a hermitess. That sounds kind of fancy.
Come here.
Yeah. Hey, you know who my boyfriend is into? Who? This hermitess right
A
here.
hermitess. I'll give you my hermit crabs. Itchy, itchy, itchy. Come on, my pinto.
I don't know what's happening over here.
She's got sleep deprivation.
Yeah.
So tired.
She's been up since
I
9
woke up at
a.m.
9.
Oh, God. She's been up for 9 whole hours.
Getting all slap happy here at the end of the show because you haven't had enough sleep.
That's what it is.
Hey, Jason.
Hello.
What's going on?
Hey, man, you're awesome. Hey, you talking about John Lithgow, right?
Yeah.
You guys missed one of his greatest roles in cinematic history. I can't believe it. He was the bad evil dude in Howard the Duck. You missed it.
Was he really?
I'm pretty sure. I'm like 98.5% sure.
No, I
I
thought
didn't
it was
think
the
that
guy
was-
from Ferris Bueller.
Jeffrey Jones,
yeah.
the guy that they thought was a pederast.
Yeah.
Oh, you got me. Darn it.
But Lithgow was the bad guy in Buckaroo Banzai.
Maybe I'm confused. Yeah.
Yeah, Howard
Oh,
the
it was
Duck,
so
the bad
exciting.
guy, was Jeffrey Jones.
Oh, man, I always wanted to call in with something cool, and I blew it. Oh, I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
we still had fun.
That's all right. Okay.
It's okay, man. Have you heard anything I've said the last 8 minutes?
It's okay. This hermitess over here is talking about her platoons and right. Okay, thank you, Jason. I appreciate it. I've got to take a break. You want to get the last word in? Send me a text 35192, and we'll be back.